All right, let's talk about something huge, a country's economy. How do you even begin to understand it? Well, we're going to break it all down by looking at it through three different lenses. And it all starts with a simple question about, of all things, the t-shirt you might be wearing right now. So yeah, that t-shirt. Think about it for a second. Where did it actually come from? Because it didn't just magically appear on a store shelf, right? Its journey from a cotton plant in a field all the way to your closet is basically the perfect roadmap for understanding how any economy is built from the ground up. Okay, so it all begins in a field. Step one, you grow the cotton. You're using natural resources. Then that raw cotton goes off to a textile mill where it's processed and woven into fabric. That's step two, manufacturing. And finally, the finished shirt gets shipped out and sold in a store. Step three, providing a service. See those three steps? That's our first lens for looking at the economy.
Now those three steps, they've got official names: the primary, the secondary, and the tertiary sectors. And these are, quite literally, the fundamental building blocks of an economy. If you get these, you're well on your way to seeing the whole picture.
So let's put some official names on this. You've got the primary sector, that's for getting raw materials, also called the agriculture sector. Secondary is for making stuff, the industrial sector. And tertiary is the service sector, all the support systems. But you know, the key thing here isn't just memorizing the names, it's seeing how they're all connected, like a chain. You can't have the t-shirt in the store without the factory, and you sure can't have the factory without the cotton farm. Each one absolutely depends on the others. Okay, so now let's take this idea and apply it to India, because this is where things get really interesting. When we look at the data over the last few decades, a really strange paradox pops up. It's this tension between where the money is being made and where the people are actually working.
Just look at this. This chart shows us each sector slice of India's economic pie. Back in the late 70s, the primary sector, farming, was the biggest piece by far. But then, you fast forward 40 years, and whoa, it's a massive shift. The tertiary or service sector has just completely exploded. It's now the biggest part of the economy by a long shot in terms of the value it creates.
But then, you look at where people actually work, and the picture just flips on its head. It's a totally different story. Agriculture, even though it's contributing way less to the economic value, is still the country's single biggest employer. The value totally shifted, but the jobs, they didn't really follow.
And this right here, this gets to the absolute heart of the paradox. India's economic engine, what it's producing, raced forward into the future, but a huge part of its workforce got left behind in the past. The jobs just didn't move over into those new high-value sectors.
I mean, the numbers are just stark. Industrial output shot up more than 9 times over, but jobs in that sector, they only went up by 3 times. And the service sector is even more dramatic. Its value rocketed up by 14 times, but employment only grew by 5 times. This gap, this disconnect, has some really serious consequences for millions of people.
And one of the biggest consequences is this hidden problem called underemployment. Now, this isn't about not having a job at all. It's about having way too many people for the amount of work that actually needs to get done.
It's often called disguised unemployment, and that's a perfect name for it, because on the surface, everyone looks busy. Everyone has a job, they're working, but in reality, the work is being divided up so much that a lot of them aren't really contributing to production in a meaningful way.
This quote it perfectly captures the human side of this. Imagine a family of 5. They're all working hard on a small farm that really only needs, say, 3 people to run it. All 5 of them are busy all day, but the farm's output doesn't actually increase. Those 2 extra people are, in economic terms, underemployed. Their potential is just being wasted.
So we've got this huge issue of underemployment, right? Especially in farming, where millions of people are working but not to their full potential. So why? Why is that? Well, to really get it, we need to pull out our second lens. We need to stop looking at what people do for a living and start looking at the conditions they work in. And this is the big divide between the organized and the unorganized sectors. And the difference is, well, it's night and day. On one side, you have someone like Kanta, who works in the organized sector. She gets a regular salary, she has fixed hours, real job security, paid holidays, benefits, the whole deal. And on the other side, you've got Kamal. He's in the unorganized sector. He gets paid daily wages, there's no job security, no benefits, no paid leave, no guarantee he'll even have work tomorrow.
And here's the really staggering reality. Over 90%, more than 9 out of 10 workers in India are in the unorganized sector, like Kamal. So when we ask that question, why didn't the jobs follow the value into the booming service and industrial sectors? This is a massive part of the answer. A lot of the new work that was created was this insecure, informal work, not stable, protected jobs like Kanta's.
Okay, so this leads us to our third and final lens. This one asks a totally different question. Who's in charge of all this economic activity? And this is the split between the public sector, which is owned by the government, and the private sector, owned by individuals and companies.
It's a pretty clear distinction when you break it down. In the public sector, the government owns the assets, think about the railways or the post office, and the main goal, the main motive, is public welfare, not making a profit. Then, in the private sector, it's owned by individuals or companies, and their primary goal, well, it's to earn a profit.
So you might be asking, okay, why do we need a public sector at all? Well, because there are certain massive, essential things a country needs, like building roads and dams and power grids that are just way too expensive or not profitable enough for a private company to want to take on. The government has to step in to provide that fundamental stuff, the services and infrastructure that benefit everyone. And there we have it. 3 completely different, but really powerful lenses to look at one single economy. We can analyze it by what people do, that's primary, secondary, and tertiary. We can look at it by their working conditions, organized versus unorganized, and we can look at it by who owns everything, public versus private. You know, each of these lenses, what people do, how they work, and who they work for, it reveals a different piece of this giant puzzle. And it all brings us right back to that fundamental tricky question at the heart of the paradox we found. As an economy grows and develops, what's actually more important? The total value it creates or the number of good, stable jobs it provides for its people? That's a core tension with no easy answer.